appreciate it. Thank you. All right, what's going on with this? You! Do you all mind being on my Instagram story? Cool. Say what's up. You! I like to walk around, you know? Is there space on this thing? I'll sort it out, don't worry about it.
Love you, Jade.
Love you too. Yo, what's up everybody? Thank you all so much for being here. It's a real honor to be able to speak in front of so many people today, so thanks for packing the joint out. And it's an honor to be in your country, to be able to spread such an important message, one of the most important messages of our time. So I feel very honored and very grateful to have this opportunity to be someone who can speak about this important topic, such an important topic, such an all-encompassing topic that affects each and every one of us, that affects each and every earthling, that affects the starving nations, it affects the environment, it affects everything. It's so important, and it's something that I didn't know about only a few years ago. I know that there's a lot of people in this room that don't know a lot about it either, because I spoke to you today, and I know there's a lot of you in this room that know all about it and could probably do this speech I'm about to do, but stay in your seat, I got this covered. It's something that has changed my life in such a positive way. In fact, nothing has ever come into my life that has been more of a positive thing, and that's why I'm so excited to share it with you all. I'm not here, for anyone who isn't already in line with what I'm going to talk about, I'm not here to make you feel like bad people. I'm not here to blame and shame. I don't believe in that. I'm all about trying to educate and encourage and inspire. I want us all to do better. I want us all to know better first and then do better. That's what I'm hoping for today. So today I'm not here to make anybody feel like a bad person or anything like that. If you feel bad, that's your own conscience. Don't look at me. I'm here just to educate and hopefully encourage and inspire, to lift each other up so that we can all make better choices. That's better for us, better for our health, the health of our family, better for the planet, and better for all earthlings. I think the best way for me to get across this point, something that I did not know about so recently, to get across this message is to tell you my own story. Tell you what happened to me, how I went from someone who did not care at all about animals, about the planet, these kinds of things. I did not care. Most people you know care more about animals than I did, 100%. I want to tell you what happened to me, how I changed, how I went from that to being someone so passionate about spreading this message that I spent like 30 hours just to get here for this one speech. It's a long time. I don't charge anything for my speeches. I never have. I hopefully never will. I've done about 150 now. It's just something that I think is so important. I went from someone who didn't care at all to someone who passionate enough to stop speaking for 365 days to raise awareness for the animals, to promote peace over violence. So this is the story. This is what happened to me. And it all started about 12 years ago when I was diagnosed with leukemia and lymphoma. I was given about a 20% chance to live. And if I didn't start treatment straight away, they said I'd be dead in about 6 weeks. So it was a very scary time, and at the time I thought I was healthy, I thought I was fine. So we started treatment, and it wasn't long at all before it started to really smash me. All the usual things happened. You know, I lost all my hair, I had a rash over my entire body, I nearly died numerous times, one time especially bad from pneumonia, where they think if I'd have stopped at one more traffic light on the way to the hospital, for sure I'd be dead. I couldn't breathe for days. A lot of things happened. I also put on 25 kilos, which is like, does anyone know? It's about 60 pounds or something? Is it? Yeah, about 60 pounds, I think. Should have looked that up before I started this. Siri. Nah. I put on a lot of weight real fast. So fast, in fact, that my skin on my sides, it ripped and it bled. Yeah, I got these big scars on my sides now, big, thick stretch marks. And I did not feel like myself. I'm looking in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself, but I'm really glad for this experience because this is the first time that I'd ever suffered. I'd never suffered really before in my life. I didn't know what suffering was. I'd lived a cushy life, a privileged life, always enough food in my stomach, always somewhere comfortable to sleep. You know, I was safe. I had nothing to worry about. I'd never suffered before until this. And I learned that suffering is the worst thing that we can go through. There's nothing else. When you're suffering, all you want is to come out of your suffering. I suppose there might be one thing worse, is to see someone you care about suffering, like a mother seeing their child suffering. Maybe that's worse, I don't know. But suffering is one of the worst things that we can go through. And what I also learned, thankfully, through a friend who helped me get fit and get healthy and get strong again and lose all that weight, you know, he helped me feel myself again, feel better again, but he helped me out of my suffering. Such an important lesson for me, because what I learned was that this is one of the greatest gifts you can give someone. This is one of the best things you can do in your life, to help others out of their suffering. I've never been so grateful for anything. This man helped me so much. Obviously all the doctors as well, but he helped me feel like me again and feel good again. And he felt great about it as well. You know, he was stoked, man, that he'd helped me in such a significant way. He helped me out of my suffering. I understood what suffering was finally. I decided I wanted to help others in the same way. I became so inspired by what he'd done. So I decided, this is a personal trainer who'd helped me lose all this weight. I decided to become a personal trainer as well. And for the next 8 years, I was very passionate about helping others out of their suffering. I was helping others get fit, get strong, get healthy, come off some of their medications, eat better, just feel better. And I loved my job. I was such a passionate personal trainer. I ended up working on cruise ships, traveling around parts of this country and other countries. I'd meet about 1,000 people every week, all coming through the gym, all different types of people. Lots of interesting people, lots of kooky weirdos, all kinds. And one day I met a very memorable person who actually changed my life forever. The power of conversation is so real. The power of planting seeds is so real. You never know what they will sprout into. This man was a very wise old Indian man. He looked like the Buddha, I assume. Had this big belly, had this big smile, was always bouncing his head, happy. He sounded like the Buddha, I assume. Deep, philosophical, intellectual conversation. I couldn't really keep up. I was just listening like, whoa, what are you even saying, man? I was loving it. So every day I'm like, come back tomorrow. You know, let's chat. And he'd just talk about nature and about the universe and like colours and temperatures and the planets and like all these weird connections and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. It's like a guru kind of dude. And then on the last day we talked about 2 weeks, every single day of his cruise. And on the last day, he dropped the bomb on me. And he said something to me that changed my life forever. He said, eating animals is bad karma. And I thought, well, I'm in trouble. I eat animals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. My karma's going to be shocking. He said eating animals is bad karma. Didn't really bother me because as a personal trainer of 8 years, I thought I knew what I was talking about when it came to health and nutrition. So I said my go-to line. Once when I started personal training, I had a mentor, and this man said to me, there's no such thing as a healthy vegetarian. And I said, good, I don't want to be one. So that's good news for me. And then every person that came to me they're like, yeah, I'm vegetarian. I'm like, you can't do that. That is not healthy at all. I didn't look into it. I just told him that. No, it's not good. You need to eat meat. What are you doing? Go to hospital. So I said this to this man. I said, there's no such thing as a healthy vegetarian. He said, I've been vegetarian for 20 years. I said, damn. I wasn't expecting you to say that. I thought this might be a new thing. I honestly didn't think this was possible. So I was shocked. I'm like, whoa. Man, I'm worried about you. You've probably got all kinds of deficiencies. Your protein, you haven't had any in 20 years. Are you kidding me? This is a problem. You get off this ship, you go to a doctor. He said, I've been vegetarian for 20 years. I thought, what? How? Man, all right. Well, look, this is a wise man I've been talking to every day for 2 weeks. Had a lot of respect for him at this point. He'd built a lot of credibility with me as well. And he made it about me. I never cared about animals at all. Less than most people. It wasn't about that. He made it about me, my karma. I don't even know if I believed in karma. But still, I thought, what? Is there something I'm doing here that's not good for me? Something I could do that might make my life better? Potentially, maybe not. But he's a wise man. He said something and I heard it. Maybe I'll just go vegetarian for a week just to see how I feel. You know, experiment. Mainly just to cross it off the list so I can say, yeah, I couldn't even get out of bed, man. I couldn't do it. Don't do it. 3 days in, that's 2. 3 days in, I was feeling amazing. I felt so good. I hadn't eaten any meat in 3 days. I felt more energy. I felt better after my meals. I felt stronger in the gym. I felt like I needed to sleep less. I felt happier. I actually noticed so many benefits in just a few days. They might be a bit surprising, but you've got to remember, I know a lot of Americans, nod your head if you've been on a cruise ship before. Yeah, that's more than most places I visit. A lot of Americans been on cruise ships, so you know every single meal is a buffet. And you make the most of your time on the ship. I was living on the ship. It's dangerous. And what I thought I was doing to make the most of it, I was stacking my plate up full of meat. Like pyramids of meat. Like there was no room for vegetables or fruit. Like no, I don't want to fill up on that. I'm making the most of this thing. I was had like stacks of ribs. You've never seen stacks like this before. No wonder in 3 days, I felt so much better. But it didn't make sense to me at the time. So in 3 days, I'm getting out of bed. I'm like, man, this is good. There must be something to this. There must be something to this. I need to keep looking into this. Can I sustain this feeling? Can I feel even better? Can I pass this on to my clients and help them feel better? You know, maybe there must be something to this. I just had this feeling because I felt so good. So I started looking into it for the first time in my life. And what I learned, you know, this became like a new passion. I just couldn't stop reading about it because I was so intrigued by how I felt. And what I learned absolutely shocked me. I've been in the health industry for 8 years. Not only can we be healthy without consuming any animal products, but we're likely to be far healthier, reducing our chances of heart disease, cancers, diabetes, obesity, osteoporosis. The biggest health issues that the Western world especially, but the entire world is faced with today. I thought, what? How could this be healthier? How could I not have known this? 8 years I've been learning about this stuff. And thinking back on it now, I realized information had trickled into me, but I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. So why even look at it? I remember one time I saw this video of these like parasites and tapeworms in meat. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. But even then I was like, that's not in my meat. Not the meat I eat. No, that's their meat. I got different meat. I was never open to it at all. So, starting to learn about it, I started to blow my mind. I started telling everybody. I became one of those vegetarians. You all know the one. I'm like, oh, you got to go vegetarian, man. You know, vegetarianism is so good. Everyone's like, bro, you were eating steak for breakfast yesterday. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, everything's changed. I've learned all this stuff. So I started telling everybody. I started feeling better and better and better. And I kept researching. I got so excited about it. Man, this is huge. I can help my clients more. I can help my mum and dad and family more. This is amazing. During my research, which was every spare second, I kept noticing that a lot of people aren't vegetarian for health. A lot of people are vegetarian for the animals. And I didn't get that, man. I was like, what? Why would you change your life for the animals? That's how I felt. Who cares about them? Why care about them? I always believed that animals were not conscious enough or aware enough or intelligent enough to care about their own lives. So why would I care about their lives if they can't even care about their lives? It made no sense to me. I didn't understand why people cared. But everyone's saying, I'm vegetarian for the animals, vegetarian for the animals. I thought, oh, maybe there's something to this as well. You know, my mind has really opened recently maybe there's something to this as well. Everyone's recommending, watch Earthlings, watch Earthlings. Nod your head if you've seen Earthlings. It's a great movie. Great movie. Anyone who hasn't watched it, it's hilarious. It's a comedy. You've got to watch it. You'll love it. I should tell you the truth. Earthlings is... It's a movie, a documentary. It shows all the ways that humans exploit animals for food, for clothing, for entertainment, and medical testing. It's actually the furthest thing ever from a comedy. It is graphic, it is horrific, it is brutal, it is cruel, violent. There are screams of terror, there are terror in their eyes. They are all killed in horrific ways. I'd never seen anything quite like this before, packaged together, showing what humans, what we do to them. I've never seen it like this before. It's worse than your worst nightmare. But such an important documentary. I'm so grateful I watch it. I recommend it to everybody so you can see with your own eyes what's happening. And it really changed me. But I had seen similar before, actually. I hadn't seen it all packaged together like that. I'd seen a little bit of slaughterhouse footage before when my brother showed it to me. And he said, if you watch this, you'll never eat meat again. I was like, there's no bit of footage that could do that to me. And I watched it, and I said, if you want to feel guilty about this, that's up to you. But I'm not going to feel guilty about being a human who needs to eat meat to survive. So you feel guilty all you want. It makes no sense to me. When I watched Earthlings, it was with a new perspective, a new understanding, new knowledge that we don't need to eat animals to be healthy. And so I watched it and I saw what was happening to them. I saw their tails being cut off. I saw their teeth being cut out. I saw their babies being taken from them. I saw their babies being slaughtered. I saw them being tested on in disgraceful ways. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like this. It's like a real-life horror movie. And when I watched it, for this time, with this new understanding, it led me to the question, if we don't need to kill and eat animals to survive and thrive, what are we doing it to them for? And I thought, well, there must be a good reason. There'd have to be a good reason, because everybody says they love animals. And if you don't love animals, at least you're against animal cruelty. 99% of people would agree that they're against animal cruelty. That's not just a number I came up with, that is based on studies. 99% of people would agree that they're against animal cruelty. So I thought there must be a good reason for why we do this, and I just haven't thought of it yet. And so I looked, I wanted to find it. I didn't want to stick with being vegetarian. I was just trying it for a week or two, just try it for a bit. I'd never have stuck to it just for health. So I thought, I need to find a good reason, man. I don't want to have to keep doing this. Not that it was bad, I was feeling good, but just in case I wanted the choice not to do it. I didn't want to feel like my morals were like, no, you can't do this. You must stay. So I looked for a reason. I looked for a justification. Why do we do this to animals? And I looked and I looked and I looked. And the best justifications I could find, the best justifications there are: taste, because they taste good; habit, because it's just what we know, what we do. It's the habits we're in. Tradition, it's what we've always done. And convenience. It's on every corner. It's in every supermarket. It's easy just to buy these things. Taste, habit, tradition, convenience. Nowhere near are they good enough justifications for the brutal torture and killing that I had seen the most innocent and vulnerable beings be put through because of us. Just because they taste good? I thought, is that it? Is that why we do this to animals that we say we love? Because they taste good? I thought, no, man, I am not okay with this. When I thought we had to be healthy, whatever, that's a different story. Survival is a different story. But when the best justification we've got is because, yum, they taste good, no, mate, that is not okay with me. I like good taste in my mouth, but I'm not going to kill someone to get it. I like having money, but I'm not going to kill someone and steal their wallet. It's just wrong. And I strive to be a good person. I always have. Strive to be a positive person, helpful, help others out of their suffering, not put them into it. You know, not make them suffer because of me, if I can help it. It didn't really surprise me though, because when I saw it with this new understanding, it was so clear to me how oppressive it is and what an injustice it was. And I thought, yeah, I'm sticking with this vegetarian thing for the animals. So I started telling everybody, hey, you know what I was saying the other day about all these health benefits? They're still there. But do you know what happens to the animals before they become that neatly wrapped package on the supermarket shelf? And people were like, don't spoil my dinner, I don't want to know. And I thought, what do you mean you don't want to know? You love animals. You hate animal cruelty. Hate it. I've got friends who despise animal cruelty. How could you not want to know this? I don't want to know. Don't tell me. I didn't get it. If I can change, someone who doesn't even really care about animals, then I don't understand why other people can't. At the time, I didn't. Now I realise there's so much conditioning involved. There's so many lies we've been brought up to believe. There's so much to this, which I'm going to get to. It's a really complicated topic, a really complicated set of beliefs that we've all been instilled. We've been taught to love some animals, love dogs, love dolphins, and love whales, and love humans. We're animals too. But kill and eat pigs, cows, and chickens and fish, and glorify it, celebrate it. Kill them and celebrate it. Teach your children that it's okay to be loving to these animals and never hurt an animal. But here's some chicken nuggets, you know, the product of violence and torture and killing. It didn't make any sense. So I became real passionate, started speaking up for the animals, you know, telling everybody. And then this man, this Indian man, before our conversation was done on this day, he wasn't done with me yet. I said, how do you know all this stuff, man? You're so wise. He said, meditation. I was like, come on. Meditation. I'm not sitting around with my legs crossed all day, man. I'm busy. I've got things to do. What books did you read? I'll listen to the audiobook. He said, I learned this through meditation. If you want to learn things like this, you've got to meditate too. I was like, oh, couldn't think of anything worse. But all right. And, you know, you'll learn from more stories I'm going to tell. I'm a jump in the deep end kind of guy. So I didn't just be like, oh, I'll do 10 minutes tomorrow. Instead, I booked in for a 10-day silent meditation course where you meditate for 10 hours a day for 10 days. What was I thinking, man? It's a lot of meditating. So I get off my cruise ship, finish my contract. Everyone's like, bro, people have been calling each other. They said you're going vegetarian. Is that true? I'm like, yeah, I'm vegetarian now. You're going to be vegetarian soon too. We've got to watch this documentary, man. It's full on. Sit down. So I go to this meditation. Started January 1st, 2013. 10-day meditation. You don't speak. There's no TV. There's no writing. There's no books. There's no nothing. You just sit there for 10 hours a day meditating. Sounds shit. It is. It's hard. It's really, really hard. But you do come out with a lot of good stuff. So I'm in there. I'm just hating on it. I'm like, oh my God, why am I here? And then on the 5th day, so it's all about like observing the physical sensations of your body, remaining equanimous, which means like accepting of the moment as it is. It's this whole technique thing. And I'm just observing what's happening to my body. And then this really strong sensation, like this pressure, this vibration, I don't know what was going on. All this stuff starts happening. And I'm like, what's going on? I've never felt this before. And then eventually it passes. That's part of the technique. You wait for it to pass. You observe it passing. It passes. And I was like, what? You know, in my head, you can't speak for this 10 days. In my head, I'm like, what was that? What the hell just happened? And I can't say for sure what happened, but I'm going to tell you what I think happened. And I hope I'm right because I based a whole year-long vow of silence on this shaky conclusion I made. So what I hope happened, what I think happened, I think it was my body trying to get me to speak. Hadn't spoken 5 days. It was like something was like needed to come out. And I was like, 5 more days, like just bear with me. And I think that's what it was. And it started me thinking, whoa, man, you haven't spoken 5 days. That's pretty sweet. How long could you do this for? Imagine going for a whole month. That would be pretty cool. Imagine going for a whole year. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. So actually I do. I tell you why. I think that's a good whole year. Yeah, maybe I could do something like that. That's kind of up my alley, you know, that's pretty wild. This is the danger of meditation, okay? When you meditate a lot, you become really positive, and every idea you have you think's a really great idea. It's like, that's a great idea. I'm doing it. I put it at the top of my list. If I'd have had that idea on a typical Tuesday, I would have been like, what the hell are you thinking about, man? No way. After 50 hours meditation, it seemed like a good idea. But I knew I couldn't come home. I'd already come home from the cruise ship and said, guess what, everybody, I'm vegetarian. And people were like, what do you mean, man? I can't get home from my meditation and go, guess what, everybody? I'm not going to speak for a whole year. People are going to be like, I told you it was drugs. All right. I need something else. I need some sort of reason for doing this, you know? I thought maybe I could do it to raise awareness for something I care about. What do I care about? Well, I care about people. I have for a long time. You know, I want to help everyone and help everyone feel good. And my newfound passion for animals. I've been vegetarian for 3 months. And I was so passionate about this. I felt like I'd discovered this massive secret, this huge injustice that had been sitting right on my plate the entire time. I didn't even see it. You know, and I still saw it on the plates of my friends and family. I wanted to talk to people about this. I saw it was so wrong. But I thought, I was still figuring it out. And I didn't know any vegetarians or anything like that. I was thinking, is this a big enough reason to take a whole year vow of silence? I don't know. I just keep researching for a little bit more. So I start studying again, keeping it up. I come back to the health, you know, realizing what kind of state we're in right now. We have an epidemic of illness and disease that's highly preventable in most cases from cutting animal products from your diet. They estimate we could drop cancer rates by 70%. They estimate soon, if we don't change, 1 in 3 people will have diabetes. Heart disease, the biggest killer in this world, the thing we should all be most worried about, and most worried about for our friends and family, because that's the most likely thing that's going to kill them. The only diet ever shown to reverse heart disease is a diet free from animal products. The biggest killer can be treated just by changing how you eat. You know, we can prevent so much suffering for ourselves, for our friends, for our family, extend their lives and have healthier lives. It's so important. And you'll know when you see them suffering how important it is and how much it matters to try to end their suffering for them. This is huge for humans. But it doesn't stop there. The environment, this planet, the world we live on, I always thought it was fine. I'm like, no, government will sort it out. That's all good. That was a bit naive. I thought, someone's looking after it. I don't need to worry about it. In fact, my own choices that I was making, and all of us, our individual choices, are causing the greatest impact. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of species extinction, deforestation, habitat loss, ocean dead zones, greenhouse gas emissions. There's more greenhouse gas emissions produced by cows, the methane that comes out of cows, than by every single transportation device on the planet. They estimate by the year 2048, there'll be no fish left in the ocean. No fish left in the ocean. What? What is happening? It's not far from now. We're in a crisis. And the biggest destructive force on this planet happens because we created demand for animal products, each and every one of us. All this was really weighing in favour of doing this vow of silence for this cause. But the biggest thing that I kept coming back to was the 1.5 trillion innocent beings, 56 to 58 billion land animals, and over 1 trillion sea animals, mutilated, tortured and slaughtered every single year for foods and products not only we don't need, but we're better off without. 1.5 trillion innocent beings who feel pain and suffer just like we do, who communicate and have communities and have their own heart and have their own brain and eat and breathe and sleep and have countless things in common with us. All the things that matter, we share in common. And it's only very few things we don't share that are quite insignificant anyway. They want to live and they don't want to die. They're sentient beings, our fellow earthlings. We spend so much time going to other planets, looking for other life, when here, we're so destructive to all other species that we view ourselves as superior to. 1.5 trillion reasons to take this vow of silence for the animals. So that's what I decided I was going to do. I knew that I had to learn more, you know, because I was about to jump in the deep end and be doing this vow of silence. I was going to write a blog about it. I was going to hope people would follow my blog because the vow of silence would be interesting. And during that, writing it, hopefully they would learn some stuff about the other things I was writing and learning about. But just from having conversations with people I knew, people got a lot of questions. Like, what about free range, man? What about humanely slaughtering animals? You know, what do you eat? Where do you get protein? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know where I get it. Hopefully it's in my food, I hope, somewhere. He goes, if we don't kill and eat animals, won't they take over and kill and eat us? I was like, chickens? Maybe. Is that what they do? I don't know. So I start researching more, learning more and more and more. Some things were really starting to sink in. But then I remember I was having this conversation with my cousin, and she said, what's this vow of silence thing you're doing? Everyone thinks you're crazy. Everyone thought that. No, a little bit right. And I said, I'm taking this vow of silence to raise awareness for animals. You know, what we do to them is so cool. Do you know what happens? I'm telling her this as I'm eating a piece of cheese. And I was eating it, and I thought, oh man, this is an animal product. Now, meat is obvious. That's been cut off an animal's body. There was some suffering and death there. But cheese took a little longer for me to connect to. You know, I'm eating it. I started flashing back to what I'd seen. You know, and I knew by this point that there's at least as much cruelty in a piece of steak as there is in a piece of cheese, as there is in a glass of milk or an egg or a leather jacket or any of these products, any animal product. All animal use is a form of exploitation. All exploitation is a form of abuse. And all abuse is immoral. All these animal products come from exploitation, abuse, and killing. I thought, well, why am I so against killing animals for meat and not so against, in fact, supporting with my dollar, demanding killing animals for dairy and for eggs and for these other things? Am I against animal cruelty to all animals or just animals bred for meat? I thought, well, it wouldn't make sense to just be against animal cruelty to some animals. I thought, am I against all types of animal cruelty or just certain types of animal cruelty? I thought, well, it wouldn't really make sense to say some's okay and some isn't. It's very inconsistent and it's got no logic. And I thought, damn, I'm going to have to become one of them vegans. 5 more minutes? Really? I'm nowhere near done. I'm nowhere near done. What time is it? That cannot be right. No. Oh, you got heaps more story to go. Who's after me? What's happening?
Well, we're going to get another session if you want.
Oh, yeah, we can do another. Heaps of people missed out on this talk, but I can't cut this one short because it's important. So, yeah, I can't cut it short. It's going to be an hour, and I usually do a bit of Q&A, so is it possible to do this hour plus half an hour Q&A and then the talk? Yeah. If it's possible, just because a lot of people missed out on this talk and I feel bad for them, so I said I'd do another one straight after, but not halfway in, you know what I'm saying? So if that's possible, cool, and if it's not, I'm just going to have to do the one. Yeah, because I can't. And you guys can just tell them what happened. 5 more minutes was not going to happen. No chance, man. I haven't started my vow yet. Where am I at? Someone remind me. I'm going vegan. This is a really important part. Oh man, crucial moments. Like, excuse me, no. All right, so I realized there's at least as much cruelty in all of these foods. I decided I needed to become vegan. I knew one thing about vegans. My friend had come up to me one day and said, guess what? Our friend from school, Grant, has gone vegan. You already seen my speech, you people laughing. I said, what the hell is vegan, man? He said, I don't know, he doesn't sit on leather couches anymore. It's like, what? Why? He just stands up all the time now? That's weird. Vegan, tell you what it is, for those of you who aren't 100%. Vegan is someone who doesn't consume any animal products, doesn't support any animal exploitation. We don't eat them, we don't wear them, we don't use them for entertainment or work, and we don't use products that have been tested on them or contain them. We just leave animals alone. We just let them live their lives in peace. That's it. We just let them live, just like we'd want to be lived. We treat them how we'd want to be treated, with respect for their life. I always thought veganism was extreme. I always thought, man, extreme vegans, go vegetarian, relax. I didn't get it. I didn't know that there was cruelty behind every animal product. And in this moment, when I was eating this cheese, I thought, man, veganism doesn't seem extreme anymore. In fact, what seems extreme is the way I was living my life. Extremely violent and cruel and totally unnecessary. And veganism seemed really chill. It's like, man, this is nice. We just be more compassionate. I can get down with that. That's pretty good. More compassionate world. So I decided, right, vegan it is. But I didn't go vegan straight away. I was really, really addicted to ice cream. I was such a big... For breakfast, I haven't even opened my eyes. I'm in the fridge, in the freezer, scooping out ice cream straight into my mouth. And then I learned this recipe. This could be the most important part of today's talk. I'm going to note this down. If you freeze a few bananas... Calm down. If you freeze a few bananas and you blend it up with some rice milk or soy milk or coconut milk, it makes ice cream. This is what we should have learned day one of school. Day one. First things first, kids. Some important stuff. So I learned this recipe. I'm like, this is going to be so much easier now. I started eating ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was healthy. Great. I was killing it. Veganism was good. And then I realized that, man, there's actually vegan food for everything. There's vegan cheese, there's vegan ice cream, there's vegan meat. There's all these things. But even if you don't have those foods or you can't afford them or whatever, I was eating all these different foods I was enjoying, different beans, and I was trying tofu, which I always thought was disgusting, and it's actually delicious. And I was eating, like more potatoes and brown rice sushi with avocado, and like all this stuff, man. I was eating countless different meals, trying all this stuff, so excited about it. You'll see downstairs how much variety there is. I thought, I'm not missing out on anything. I thought I was going to go vegan and be like, I'm just going to eat lettuce and tofu for the rest of my life. But actually, I eat better food now than ever before. And I've spoke to a lot of vegans. I've spoke to thousands of vegans. And everyone's like, oh my God, everyone goes hectic over the food now. Every vegan is obsessed with the food because it's so good. And you feel better after it. So I was like, man, I thought I was going to sacrifice and I eat better than ever before. If only everyone knew that one thing, man. We get so many more people on board. But anyway, so I planned this speech. Sorry, not planned this speech. No, I didn't. That came later. I planned this vow of silence. And the plan was to travel around Australia, voiceless, write a blog about it, and hopefully get some attention and spread, plant some seeds, and who knows. January 1st, 2014 was when the vow began. As soon as the clock struck midnight, it was a very anticlimax moment. When things are exciting and you want to be like, yeah! And I was like, got it. Didn't ruin it in the first second, yes. First point of call was to stay voiceless. Very, very hard. It took a lot of willpower, reminding myself. It was so unnatural, And I started feeling like I was being ignored and I was too much effort for people. It was really hard. It was really confronting. And then I met this woman. She's from America, actually. She emailed me. She said, guess what, James? I'm from America. I'm vegan. I'm like, cool. She said, I'm doing a vow of silence as well for a year. I was like, that's my idea, man. What are you talking about? You didn't make that up. I copyrighted that. She said, I'm coming to Australia, do you want to hang out? I said, yeah. She comes over, we're hanging out, and she was really fluent in sign language. So she's talking like that with no noise. And I'd been writing everything down. I have a real funny joke. I'm like, oh, there's this crowd of people. I start writing it down. Halfway through, I'm like, this isn't funny anymore. It was so hard. I see how she's communicating. I'm like, this is great. You know, I can communicate like that. So I throw my book out the window, and then I start doing what she was doing, talking with my mouth with no noise. So I feel like I can be around people a little bit more now. What can I do with my time? How can I spend it? And I thought, I should be around these animals. I should go meet these animals that I'm standing up for. I've never even been around a pig or a cow or a chicken. I don't even know what they're about. I'm going to go to a place. So I go to a sanctuary. And I visit, and they're like, oh, it's that voiceless guy. And I'm like... And they start showing me around. This is Harry the horse. This is Peter the horse. I was like... Okay. I didn't really care. I was against animal cruelty, but I didn't really get animals yet. You know, I'd never been around them. I've been around my dog Bruce, right? And to be honest, I didn't really like Bruce that much. I didn't. No offense, Bruce. I just wasn't a fan of animals. I was like, they're dirty, they're slobbery, like, I just don't really like them. So I go to Harry, Peter, I'm like... And then she takes me to all the chickens. There's like 30 chickens. This is Sarah, this is Jasmine, this is Jemima. She's telling me all their names. It's like, what? I'll tell you what I said. I mouthed it. I'm voiceless, but I'll tell you what I said so it's easier. I'm like, why did you name them? And how do you even know all their names? They all look exactly the same. And you know how there's like those cat ladies who have like 45 cats at home? You know, there's a few nodding heads like, that's me. There's also like chicken ladies who love chickens. I've met a bunch of them now. So like I'm telling this chicken lady, I'm like, what are you doing naming them? They're just chickens. She's like, what do you mean? Like heaps confused because I'm doing this massive thing for animals. She's like, who is this imposter? What do you mean? And I just kind of mouthed her. I'm like, they're all the same. Like they're just chicken, you know? She said, no, that's not actually how it is. They're all individuals. Like Sarah, she's real sweetie. You know, give her a pat. She's real affectionate. You stay away from Jasmine. She'll rip you to shreds. I was like, which one? Which one, Jasmine? It started getting me thinking. You know, they're all individuals like us. They all have their own heart and their own brain. I never really thought about animals like that. In fact, I didn't even really at this point understand that humans were animals. I thought we were this different thing. I thought there was humans and then there's all the animals. We're animals too. We're all got a lot in common, but we all have differences as well. And it's just the same with them. They all got their own lives. They do things their own way a little bit as well. And I thought, oh, maybe she's onto something. I don't know yet. I don't know about this woman. Next day. It was a very hot day. I don't know what this is in Fahrenheit, but 45 degrees. It's probably like 400 Fahrenheit or something. Super hot. I'm at this sanctuary, and we get this call that I obviously didn't answer. Someone else answered. They're like, we've got a bobby calf. We've got a baby cow rescued from slaughter. Can we bring him? And we were all like, bring him. So he comes in the back of a station wagon. Pop the top. And we get him out. He's this tiny little cow. The tiniest cow I ever seen in my life. The cutest cow I ever seen in my life. So soft and gentle. I've never been this close to a cow, let alone like a baby cow, right? When he's on the floor, I'm like, oh my God, big eyes, like big eyelashes, like the most beautiful face I've ever seen. But he was dying. His eyes like rolling in the back of his head at times. He couldn't stand up. He was panting, dehydrated. His umbilical cord was still just hanging there. Like this is a fresh baby, a fresh being into this world. And we're freaking out. We're trying to get some fluids in him. I don't know what to do, man. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like we're trying to just give him water and things because we didn't have anything, like any sort of powdered milk or anything we could substitute or use. And this is the first time I'd ever seen in real life a waste product of the dairy industry. That's what he is. That's what the baby cows are, the baby boy cows. So I don't know, a lot of people here I'm sure know about the dairy industry, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know a lot about the dairy industry, because I didn't. Biggest secret in the world, comes from the most cruel industry on the planet, in my opinion, or at least one of. So I'll tell you what happens in the dairy industry. Firstly, a lot of people think that cows just constantly give milk. That's not the case. Just like any mammal, just like a human mammal, for a cow to give milk, she has to be pregnant or have recently been pregnant. In the dairy industry, for that to happen, a human will shove their arm into her anus and then inject her vagina with bull semen. They forcibly impregnate her. They do this on an apparatus commonly known in the industry as a rape rack. They force her to become pregnant. She has a 9-month pregnancy, just like a human, and then she gives birth. When she gives birth, her babies are taken from her almost immediately. They do that because they don't want the babies drinking the milk intended for them. The humans want that. That's what they're there for, to make profit by selling the milk. The baby boys will never produce milk. They're seen as a waste product. And so they're sent to the slaughterhouse at just a few days old. At the slaughterhouse, these babies, the most gentle animal you could imagine, have a bolt gun put to their head which fires a bolt or a rod through their skull into their brain to pierce their brain. It doesn't kill them, it just stuns them. And then a man will put, or a human will put a knife to their throat and slit their throat. These babies, that's what we do to these gentle baby animals. And we call this something. We call it humane slaughter. For those of you who aren't aware, I'll tell you what the definition of humane is. Humane means to show compassion. How can you compassionately slit an individual's throat? How can you compassionately kill someone who does not want to die? It's like saying that there's a humane way, a good way to do the wrong thing. There's not. There's no humane murder. I'll give you an example. My brother Jono, a couple of years younger than me, always had a good relationship. I loved the guy. And imagine one day in his sleep, after I've let him free range all day long, I put a gun to his head, boom, and I shoot him in his sleep, and he didn't even see it coming, definitely didn't feel it. Can I go to the judge and be like, relax, man, humane murder? Is he going to be like, did you eat him after? Okay, that's cool, no worries, don't worry about it. Or is he going to say, humane murder? You robbed him of his greatest gift. You robbed him of his life, the most precious thing any of us will ever possess. There's nothing humane about that. It doesn't matter how you murdered him. You murdered him. And that's why murder comes with one of the greatest punishments in our society. Because taking a life is wrong. It doesn't matter how you murdered them. It doesn't matter how you slaughter them. Of course, more cruelty is worse. But to call it humane, there's nothing less humane than killing a baby animal, a gentle baby animal, who obviously is innocent of any wrongdoing. That's what happens to the baby boys. The baby girls have the same fate as their mother. Once they're old enough, they're forcibly impregnated. Her babies are taken from her, which is a traumatic experience for these mothers. They're a very maternal animal. They often return to the last place they saw their babies and cry and bellow for days. After this process has happened to them a few times, of their babies being taken, when they start giving birth, they hide their babies as best they can. And when they hear the farmer coming, it freaks them out, the terror on their face, knowing what's likely to happen next. The baby girls have the same fate as their mothers. And then they're hooked up to painful milking machines after her babies are taken from her. And then after 5 to 7 years of being so severely used and abused, so severely exploited for their milk, they're also sent to the same slaughterhouse as their babies. Bolt gun, boom, and then slit throat. Humane slaughter, apparently. Humane is a word used by industry to make people like us, good people like us, feel better about our choices, to fool us, to deceive us. Don't think this is a good thing for the animals. Would you like to be humanely slaughtered? Would you like one of your friends or family to be humanely slaughtered? That's all you need to ask yourself, if it's humane or not. would you like it to happen to you? I'd love a massage, a humane massage. But that's about it, you know what I'm saying? Be gentle, but not too gentle. Okay, this is what happens in the dairy industry. It's one of the most cruel industries on the planet. Why does this happen? Because people want to drink milk. Because people want to have a slice of cheese on their sandwich with all the other fillings. They want to put a little bit of milk in their coffee. They want to have a little bit of milk on their cereal. We already have so many milks. We have rice milk, we have almond milk, we have soy milk, we have coconut milk, we have hazelnut milk, we have hemp milk, we have, I don't even know, like 10 more milks like that. Often being vegan is this easy, right? You go to the supermarket, this is what you usually do. You go, oh, I'm just going to get some cow's milk. You go like this, and then when you go vegan, you just do this. Like. That's it. And it's like, I'll get this milk instead. And you just get a different milk. It's that easy. It's often that easy going vegan. It's so easy. So this is the first time I've seen what happened, you know. I'd seen it on YouTube or whatever, but in real life, a waste product of the dairy industry. In real life, it made it so real. And it was my job to look after Rupert, so I'm feeding him milk every day, this powdered milk, out of this big bottle with this big teat, and he knew I was the guy with the milk. Because everyone else, he'd let them pat, he'd be like, yeah, yeah. But with me, nah. He'd just headbutt me and like suck on my legs to try to get milk out of me. It's a bit weird. Because he thought, that's what they do. When they want milk from their mum, they headbutt their mum's udder. So he was like headbutting me, I'm like, get off, you know? And then I spent a lot of time with this cow. And it's when I really did realise that there's someone in here. This is not a thing. This is an individual. This is someone. Wants, needs, desires, you know, pining for his mum. This little baby pining for his mum. Trying to figure out how to work in this world. Learning it from me, like that's sad. You know, it was though, it was. And then, but it made it real. And then I wanted to say goodbye to Rupert. Obviously I couldn't talk. I've got pretty messy handwriting. I didn't think that was going to work. He's over the other side of the barn and I thought, I'll just think goodbye to him. I'll just use telepathy, you know, no big deal. So I'm like, Rupert. No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That'd have been weird. I just thought it in my head. I'm like, Rupert, it's been so good getting to know you. I've learned so much. You know, I'm sorry what happened to you, but you're in good hands here. And we're going to look after you. It's time for me to go though, but I'm going to come back one day. I'll visit you again, so be good. And he's looking at me the whole time. And I'm looking at him. And then he starts walking over to me. And I'm thinking, here we go, headbutts, slobber. Like I just put these pants on, but it's all good, last time. And he comes up to me. And he does something that he's never done. Never. In the 6 weeks I'd been hanging with him, I'd spent every day with him. He'd never done this before. He comes up to me. And he nuzzles his head on my leg. And I was like, whoa, such unusual behaviour. So I'm like, let's see how far we can push this. So I bend down and give him a pat. This has never happened before with this cow. I was just expecting this massive tongue up my face, like, and I'm patting him. And he's just looking at me. And I'm like, we're having a moment here. It's happening. And I thought, oh, this is weird. After I just said that thing, I'm not saying I'm telepathically skilled or anything. I'm not saying he understood. But what strange timing for him to treat me so differently. It didn't make me think, definitely he heard me. But on some level, it did make me start wondering, you know, what do we know about these animals? We think we know so much. We put them into boxes all the time. Cows are this and that and this and that. Pigs are this and that and this and that. And we put them in this box and that's what they are. But we'll never, the truth is, we will never fully grasp and understand the complexities, the intelligence, the awareness of other species. We'll never fully understand it. We'll just have ideas about it. And it made me think, man, we need a more open-minded idea of these other species. You know, not just to think we know everything about them. They're this, they're that, they're not intelligent, blah, blah, blah. That was a really interesting moment for me. And it really fueled my fire, this whole experience with Rupert. So I wanted to learn more. And I wanted to see more with my own eyes. So once I started moving on, I started visiting the factory farms for myself. In this country, if you do that and you get caught, you are tried as a terrorist. A terrorist for trying to save animals from what you could argue would be terrorists. Because they are literally terrorizing and slaughtering those innocent beings. Now, I'm not blaming those individuals because we've all been brought up into this world that's conditioned us to tell us that this is natural and normal and necessary. But how could we ever think and put a label on people rescuing our fellow earthlings from suffering and violence? How dare we call them terrorists? That's what happens in this country. It's going that way in Australia as well. But I wanted to see for myself. So I visited a lot of these places. And I wish I could tell you, just like over here, it's very similar in both our countries. I wish I could tell you that they were happy, it was all good, there was just one bad day. I've never been to places, thanks. Got a little note here. Wicked. Sweet. All right, it's all good. Don't worry, we're going to make this happen. What time is it? Okay. I visited these places, I realised it is just as bad as I'd seen. This is not something that animal activists are fabricating and editing these videos or anything like this. I've been in these places. I saw it with my own eyes. They scream. There's terror in their eyes. They're so afraid. I've seen babies squirming in their last moments, suffering in their last moments on this steel cage in filthy conditions. I've seen animals with their legs pulled off. I've seen animals green and puffed up from the gas, just dead, and other animals are kind of eating them. Look, I've never been in a place that is so obviously full of cruelty and oppression and caged living beings and suffering. I've never seen anything so much more obvious in my life that it is so wrong. I'm looking around, I think this is just one farm. And there's a lot around this area. And then this country, and then this world. This is a massive injustice. The greatest injustice. In terms of length it's been happening, length it will likely continue, and the amount of victims. It really fueled my fire again. And I started kind of putting my own life on the back burner, I always used to care just about me. But it was around this time that I thought, man, I'm cool, I'm good. I don't really need to get much better. What about bringing the bottom up? What about helping those down there? I'm good. Compared to them, I'm phenomenally good. We should really be spending a significant portion of our time, if we're able to, in lifting the bottom up. And the beauty of that is, when you do that, you actually get up, because it feels good to help others. It's one of the best feelings in the world. Dalai Lama says that's the meaning of life, to help others be more happy. Next thing that happened, this van I was traveling in and living in, it broke down in the middle of nowhere. And I had to abandon it, basically, because I couldn't afford to get it fixed. I think they were ripping me off because I was voiceless and I couldn't call anyone to find out what was happening. So I'm sussing these guys. I was with my friend. She said, what are you going to do? I was like, now I don't know if you've seen Australia. It's big. It's kind of like this country, really. So we got it was like coast to coast. I was on the other side of Australia. I needed to be in Sydney. I was North and Western Australia. It was the other side. Mom, she goes, you can't walk. It's too far. And I was angry that I'd lost my van like this. I'd abandoned it. I'd lost like $10,000. So I'm like, shut up, I'm walking. And she said, why don't you ride a bike? And I was like, that is such a better idea. Oh my God, I'm glad we had this conversation. So glad. I'll get a bike. First I had to hitchhike 2,000 kilometers. I had a plane to catch. So I'm hitching. Had a lot of awkward silences. I don't know about in this country. When you hitchhike in Australia, people want to have a chat. They pick you up. They're like, hey man, where you going? Have a chat. So I get in the car and be like, what? I'm like, can't talk, drive, go on. This ain't happening. One day though, this is the most memorable awkward silence I had of the year. Hitching for 6 hours, couldn't get out of this town. Finally, they drove past me initially, and I'm like, get back. They come back. He looks at me. I'd written this little note. My van's broke down. I need a ride to Darwin. I've taken a vow of silence for a year to raise money for charity. I was in cattle country, so I'm not going to say for animals. They'd be like, for charity. They're all good. Don't ask which one. They're all good. You know what I'm saying? And he looks at my note and he goes, well, that's a bit shit, isn't it? And I was thinking, nah, it's really awesome, man. Like, what are you talking about? Let me in the car. And I didn't think he was going to let me in. So I was like, started pleading. I'm like, please, like, I really need to go. And he's like, get in then. And I went, sweet. So I just sit in there and I'm like, I look this way because in Australia it's different, on the different side of the car. I'm like, awkward silence. Dude goes, I'll put my audio book back on. Put my audio book back on. I was like, cool, do whatever you want, man. Puts this audio book back on. It's the most Australian audio book I've ever heard. It's just at this part where this guy walked up the stairs and started slashing and gutting everyone. And I was just like, I've seen movies start like this. He goes, can you at least roll ciggies? Like, you call them that? Cigarettes? Can you roll cigarettes? Can you at least roll ciggies? And I was like, yeah, I'll roll you 1,000 ciggies, man. I'm rolling them. I'm like, see how good we are together, You need me. Smoke. Takes me up to Darwin, top of Australia. Flew over to Bali. I got a friend in Bali who does tattoos. The reason why I wanted tattoos was because doing this vow of silence, everyone coming up to me all the time saying, why are you voiceless, man? Are you deaf or something? And it gave me an opportunity to spread this message. You go, no. You give them literature, write it down, body language, explain. I've taken a vow of silence to raise awareness for animals. Do you know what happens? And I didn't want, I wanted another way to bring up the conversation when I started talking again. So I thought I'll get tattoos. Everyone always asks, what do your tattoos say? What do your tattoos say? I'll get tattoos. Everyone asks me and I'm like, sit down, I'll tell you all about them, That's the dream for vegans. They got a joke about us. How do you know when someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. So if someone asks, you're like, oh, sweet, great. We want to spread the message, it's important, so we're looking for ways to bring it up. I'm like, I'll just get covered in tattoos. Go to this place, get it covered. I'll tell you just a couple. There's a line here, it says, lions kill for need, humans kill for greed. A lot of people say, oh, but lions eat animals. I'm like, yeah, they don't have supermarkets. They have to eat animals to survive and be healthy. Unlike us, we can choose to kill and eat animals to be healthy or to not kill and eat animals to be healthy. Lions sometimes eat their babies. Are you going to eat your baby and go, but lions do this sometimes? No, because you're not a lion. What else I got? There's a photo of me when we rescued some chickens from a factory farm. It says, we are fighting until every cage is empty, not until every cage is comfortable. Yeah, we don't want bigger cages with pillows and cushions and nice classical music playing. No cages. No innocent being belongs in a cage. It's the most simple thing. If you wouldn't want to be trapped in a cage your entire life, don't force that on someone else. There's a couple of starving children here. It says, every morsel of meat we eat is slapping the tear-stained face of a hungry child. This is the most alarming statistic that I'm aware of, the most alarming statistic I know. 20,000 children will die every single day of starvation and malnutrition. Often this happens in the places in the world where we import food from. And this food that we take from those countries, we feed to the animals. We feed them 6 to 12 times more food than what we can take from them. So we give them all this food and we get back this tiny little bit. It also takes up to 1,000 times more water and causes a huge amount more pollution. Meanwhile, all these children are starving to death every day. One is too many. 20,000 a day? That statistic alone should give you an idea of how far off the mark we are. For me, that's big. The biggest one. Oh yeah, I'm telling you about my tattoos. Had a little moment there. I got this one up here. It's a cow being slaughtered by a human, and it says, Auschwitz begins whenever someone looks at a slaughterhouse and thinks they're only animals. That's a quote by a Holocaust survivor. They said, they're only Jews. And we've also said other things. They're only women, you know? Or they're only a different race than us. How many times do we have to get this wrong? This one explains it well. There's a orangutan and her baby. It says, because the heart beats under a covering of feathers, scales, wings, or fur, it is for that reason to be of no account. Just because they're covered in something different on the outside. We've done this so many times in the past and had it wrong. Men thought they were superior to women. White people thought they were superior to black people. And look at the injustices that caused. We realise how wrong that is now. Or most of us do. I mean, these problems still exist, but we've come a long way. And I hope we keep continuing in the right direction. Sexism, racism. Today I'm talking about speciesism. When we value our own species so much more than the lives of others that we are willing to kill them just so we can have a taste in our mouth for a minute or two. Speciesism. That's a big issue for most people. Most people currently are speciesist. You can come out of it with the right education. And that's what this is all about. I get all these tattoos. And the tattooist, he's sitting there in front of me one day. He said, he's eating his lunch. He says, do you want some, man? And I was like, I don't eat animals. Have you been tattooing with your eyes closed? What? He says, nah, man, it's vegan. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. I thought, if you can do it, why can't I? And I was like, exactly, man. There's nothing special about me or any other vegan. You don't need to be a highly intelligent person. You don't need to be a particular religion. You don't need to love tofu. You don't need to even love animals. You don't even need to love animals. I didn't. You only have to agree with one thing to be vegan. And that thing is this, that causing unnecessary harm to animals is wrong. If you agree with that statement, then by your own belief, you believe in veganism. You have the vegan values in your heart. The only thing left for you to do is to align your actions with your values. And that's it. I think most people are vegan at heart. And that's why it feels like returning home. And that's why every single vegan I've ever spoke to, the thousands of them, all say going vegan is one of the best things, if not the best thing I've ever done. It is. There's a reason for that. Because when you live in alignment with your core values, it feels good, really good. Amen. I come back, I get my bike. I had a 5,000 kilometre mission. I don't know how far that is in miles. Again, I should have looked this up. Siri, I don't know. Does anyone know? 3,000? 3,000 miles. Sounds a lot in miles. 3,000 miles I had to ride across Australia by myself in the outback. What was I thinking? One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It wasn't necessarily that hard on my legs. It was my ass, man. So much agony. Truly agony. But I made it. I made it all the way across. 5,000 kilometers. I'd tell you all about it, but I did not have time, I don't think. And the reason why I did this, I wanted to show people that you can be healthy, fit and strong without consuming animal products and still do athletic things, you know? But I didn't need to break that stereotype. The world record holding strongman's a vegan. Mr. Universe of a couple of years ago is a vegan. World champion arm wrestler is a vegan. World record holding ultra marathoner is a vegan. There are so many elite athletes that are not just in the top 100. Oh wow, vegan made it to the top 100. No, number one. The top. World record holding strongman. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing because we're such a small minority, growing every day. Animal rights is the fastest growing social justice movement of our time.
Yes.
It's growing every day. Yeah, it's great. But we're still such a small minority. To be in the top 50, let alone number 1, is phenomenal. And it's amazing. So it just proves. Just like I tried to prove in my own way. I should have just left it up to them. It was so hard. But anyway, I did it. I get an email, almost done. Everyone who's freaking out where that person is. I get an email. They say, James, it's from like the most popular morning show in Australia, TV show. They say, James, we caught onto this thing you're doing. Can you come and speak your first words on our show? And I was like, no. What if my voice doesn't work? That's a bad idea. But I thought, this is going to be better for the animals, I should. So I do a 10-day meditation. Like I finished my vow at midnight, and then the next day I started another 10-day silent meditation to figure out exactly what I was going to say, word for word. And I get to this place a day after that finish. I sit down in the chair at the studio, and they say to me, all right, James, what are your first words going to be? And I said, I want you to ask me why. And they said, oh, okay, James, why did you do this? And I broke my vow of silence like this. I said, thank you for asking. The reason I took this vow of silence was to raise awareness for the voiceless victims of this planet, the animals. We all say we love animals and we're against animal cruelty, yet we pay people to mutilate and torture and slaughter them. And it's not for any necessity. It's not because we need to for our health. It's because we like the way they taste. So I went voiceless because they're voiceless. I thought, but then I realized they're not actually voiceless. They cry in pain and they scream in terror. And when they do that, they're telling us that they're suffering. But the problem is we're not listening because they're covered in feathers or scales or wings or fur. They don't look like us on the outside. I also did this to raise awareness for the way I've been living my life. I'm vegan, which means I don't consume any animal products. I don't support any animal exploitation. And I wanted to show people through my journey how easy that is, how healthy that is. And if you also agree that animal cruelty is wrong, that it's the right way for you to live as well. And they freaked out, man. That was pretty much the end of it. How does it feel to be talking? They didn't address what I said at all, which shocked me. It threw me so... I was like, whoa, I spent 10 days on this. We need to talk about what I just said. Now, how does it feel to be talking? I'm like, I don't know, I just started. What did I even just say? I'm in a weird place right now. And I was angry. I thought, man, I bombed that interview, you know? They didn't even ask me. I had a whole list of other things I was going to answer. Turned out to be a blessing in disguise. It's a short interview, a few minutes long. So much more likely for people to click on it if it's short, right? Millions and millions of people watched that interview. And thousands of people, these are just the ones I know of, thousands and thousands of people contacted me, inspired to make a change in their life, to become vegan, or if they're already vegan, to become active in spreading this message. That man said to me, eating animals is bad karma. He planted one seed. And then that day, I planted millions of seeds. You know, and we all have the power to do this. You never know what one person's going to do, who you speak to. That person might inspire someone to inspire someone else, to inspire 50 million people. And this is how we make a change. It's about educating. Since then, I've done a few other things, which I definitely don't have time to talk about. And I travel around with the hope to educate and encourage and inspire. Because this isn't something happening in another part of the world. It happens right here, just like it happens in Australia. This is not something happening that we have no control over. We have 100% control over it because it happens due to our choices. A war, good luck trying to stop it. But the war on animals, it stops when we stop creating a demand for it. Every single person makes a difference. A lot of people here might not have known a lot of the things I've talked about today. But now you know. And when you know better, you can do better. And as Einstein said, those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act. I was speaking to you all individually about acting, taking action. Knowledge means nothing if you don't put it into action. And if you put what I've said today into action, your life will be better, the health of this planet will be better, and we will save countless animals from needless suffering and death. We can all do our part to make this world a better place. So let's do it. Thank you very much. Thank you. So you liked it? Okay, that's good. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much. One more thing. I do these speeches for free. I do sell t-shirts. If you like them and you want them, they're downstairs at a stall, and that helps me give these speeches for free. I never ask for money or donations. Yeah, thanks. So if you want. And as for a Q&A, there's no time, no time. Thank you all so much.
Microphone.